Hey guys, what's up? I only ever met Cody Rhodes once. I only ever met Cody Rhodes once, and it was backstage at Raw while I worked for the company. And I only spoke to him very briefly. And he was completely in the Stardust gimmick with like the shoulders and everything. And the contact lenses. And it was hard because he'd actually sent me a really nice message online about like, hey, I know how it can be in the shadow of your father and stuff. And I was like, wow, Cody Rhodes is a really good guy. But I only ever got to talk to him that one time. And it was so intense to like look at Stardust. A lot of the wrestlers in person, I only really got to go backstage at WWE like a handful of times. But what always startled me was that wrestlers in person, I'm physically taller by a bit than John Cena, which is crazy because John Cena to me is a gigantic guy. Whereas Randy Orton, who was at Dubai Comic Con with me, I don't think of him as a gigantic guy, but he like towered over me. And it was like, holy shit, he's a giant. And like a lot of them are very startling to encounter. It's like kind of like seeing a superhero in person. Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar both walked past me backstage at Raw. I guess John Moxley now. But both times I was like, the aura of them, I was like, my God, they have such an aura. And then I almost did a TV show called The Wreckage with CM Punk. And I only ever met CM Punk once at New York Comic Con in my bedroom at the Nomad Hotel. And it was 9 p.m. He'd come up to meet with me just to generally talk to me and see if he wanted to attach to the project. And he did after we talked. But what was funny, excuse me, oh God, I visit my parents' house, so I'm going to have like allergies and be like gross throughout this. But so I'm allergic to cats, and I owned a cat for many years. And so I get these disgusting snorting noises that are just very not appetizing. And they're often followed by one of the like that, like to clear it. Very popular with the ladies. But what was crazy about meeting CM Punk at that point in his life, this was like 2016, 2015, was he was clearly a guy who just seemed, his vibe was just like he was over it. Like the dude was just like over everything. Like he met with me, but like he was nice. We like got along okay, but like we didn't know each other. And so it was this very like awkward, hey man, let me pitch you a TV show about pro wrestling in a hotel room at 9 p.m. Like I'm amazed he said yes, but I was always very appreciative of that. And it was funny. I'm literally just telling stories from my time in the wrestling industry in between waiting for everybody to show up. Hi guys. Hello everybody. Did you get a ticket for No Way Home? I did. I'm very excited. What did you think of the rise of the Hangman? Better not end with Danielson winning. Take Danielson's head off with the buckshot lariat. It would be really stupid if Bryan Danielson won. To have another former WWE guys champion this soon. Should go from Hangman to MJF. It's not rocket science here. It's not rocket science. And you know what? I think then Hangman should win it back off MJF, one of those, because the story of him to get MJF getting defeated that way is even better. Because I think MJF should win against when Wardlow finally turns on him. I don't think it should be a Triple H situation. A sequel to any one of my dad's movies. I would have loved to do Coming to America too. That would have been really fun because I would have done it as like Black Panther. I would have done it as like a big alternate world movie because it's set up to be that, And one of my favorite things ever in any of my dad's movies is the beginning of Coming to America is the Paramount logo, but then you fly past the Paramount logo to reveal that the Paramount Mountain is in Zamunda. And I always thought like, oh, it would be so cool to do a movie where the Paramount Mountain is like an important location. Like, that's dope as fuck, right? What else? Hope you're doing well, Max. I am doing well. Things have been cool. How do you think Otto Octavius and Green Goblin will be handled? I hope good. I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram. Lord knows it barely gets any engagement, but on my Instagram, I talk a lot about movies and stuff. I try not to be negative, but people who follow me on Instagram know that I'm absolutely fucking terrified. Terrified. Bam, bam, bam. Terrified that No Way Home will be bad. I'm very worried because several nostalgia movies that have come out recently that I was actually looking forward to really disappointed me really badly. That smell of that one movie I'm known to really dislike, the smell of that movie wafts freely through the continued flood of 80s reboots. But now we're dealing with a noughties reboot, a 2000s reboot. I'm really worried that Toby and Andrew will only be in the last 10 minutes of this movie. And I'm really worried that Rhys Ifans and Sandman, I forget, Thomas Hayden Church, I'm worried they're not going to be in the movie. And I'm also worried that these aren't going to be the real characters, but instead be variants. That, to me, will feel like a cop-out. I really, there's this moment in the trailer where the energy of the trailer stops dead for two low angle medium wides, one 3-shot of MJ, Peter, and Ned, and a 1-shot of Doctor Strange that's like a weird low angle medium wide. And the kids go, "Oh, you see, I know magic words, it's please." And Doctor Strange goes, "Please. Scooby-Doo this crap," in the worst American accent in history. And that moment kind of made me go like this. But then the moment when MJ's falling off the thing and they do the Kirsten Dunst Emma Stone shot, I was like, they're going to get me. I'm going to be excited when I sit down in the theater. I'm going to be pumped up. And then I'm going to deflate. I'm going to blow around the theater like a balloon. Chronicle is a bad movie. No, it isn't. Also, you're a fucking moron. I'd beat your ass in person. What if that was my new attitude towards haters and trolls? Have you seen Clementine Morgan on Instagram? I've become a major fan of this woman. She's fearless. She says stuff we're all thinking about today's world. I love being super aggressive now about everything. You said Yui Bowl this crap. No, please, Yui Bowl this crap. Uwe Bowl. You said that classic famous Justice League characters like Batman and Wonder Woman deal with psychological issues. What issues does Green Arrow deal with? Well, he's referring to something I said on Instagram. I talked about how in the Kryptonian epic, because really the main characters of the epic, if you were looking at it as a whole, are Pete, Clark, and Lois. They're the leads. Like Diana and Arthur and all these people are like, and I guess Zatanna is also kind of one of the leads. And you could argue Ted has his own, in theory, would have his own 3 graphic novels before he shows up in Superman Do It Yourself. But something I shared on Instagram is that the way I think about them when I write them for the epic is what lessons they represent for Clark. Because, you know, Clark is the protag. It's a big, epic Harry Potter style hero's journey. He's the Jon Snow. So what does he learn from each of them? So I decided each of them represents a different sort of aspect of personality I think is important. So Bruce Wayne represents trauma and rage and mental illness and where that can take you in your life. Obsession. I just bit my tongue. Diana represents loyalty, but she also is representative of abuse and family. And Arthur also is about family and identity and compassion and empathy and ethics. Arthur sort of represents all of those things. And he also comes from a religious background, as you'll learn eventually. So like he represents sort of some of the bad ideas about morality that religion can give you. Green Lantern, when he shows up, is all about friendship and trust and not giving up. And then the Flash is about ego. Barry is about ego and arrogance and genius. And then Green Arrow is of course about sex and responsibility and love. You know, he's his whole storyline is that he's essentially, you know, at the heart of his storyline is a guy who was a deadbeat dad who gets his kid back and then realizes that he'd rather be a father than a superhero. And then Doomsday shows up and shit gets really unfair for a lot of the characters. And so Green Arrow is all about love and responsibility and sex. And his storyline is very much about family. And he's also about family, but via sex, sort of being a sort of a man. That's, you know what? Green Arrow is sort of about being a man in a positive way. It's positive masculinity. What are we seeing here? If Flash is ego, what is Eddie? Eddie is about mental illness. Eddie, you'll see. Eddie's the next time you're going to get a big update on Eddie is when I somehow do Endangered Species. Because I just did motherfucking test run in this Flash thing. So it's finally like out, which is cool because now I can figure out how to try to tell the second most important story in the entire Kryptonian epic, which is so annoying that I don't know how to do it. And I'm also like kind of I'm getting paid to like work here and there again now. So there's like job stuff and like, it's just a very interesting time. Like, you know, I have that animated movie I'm making, but my animator, who's brilliantly talented, who I'm throwing money at, now I've hired another animator and we've shot a lot of it and a lot of it's done. But to make an animated musical live action hybrid explainer video about your technically 12 graphic novel series that only one of the graphic novels exists. Yeah, I drank a Bang Energy. Yeah, I've been smoking weed all day. I've always drank a Bang Energy and I've been smoking weed all day. That's how I deal with my mental illness. Sorry, I'm having fun. I've had a great morning. For All Mankind, each story is sort of different because, and each one's a fake out into what it's really about. Wait, so any more questions? Morpheus or Swamp Thing? There's a character who was murdered, and the way he is murdered implies that he was Swamp Thing, but Swamp Thing never fully shows up. Tips on living in a major city as a filmmaker. Well, there's the best one to live in is Los Angeles. You'll find the most potential collaborators, the most people who own their own equipment, the most people who are willing to work for cheap or free. That's also where you can build relationships. Remember, entertainment is the arts. Arts are a relationship industry because what doesn't art have? Objective value. That's right. In order to be a tastemaker, you need to participate in the community. It's very hard to be an artist with no friends, with no patrons, with no proprietors. You have to share your work. You have to be open to collaboration. Los Angeles and New York are the best cities in the world for that, followed maybe by Austin right now, but not really. And then maybe by Vancouver. But what you have to remember is that being a filmmaker, until you have your ball rolling, is not a job. It's a career, and it's an arts career. So there is no ladder. There is no foolproof way to do it. There is no sure road to success. If you live in a major city as a filmmaker, the one thing you need to do is remember to be creative, because you will become depressed if you're not making anything. The other thing to do is to remember to adjust your expectations. Live for the moment. Create art for the sake of creating art. Don't get caught up in the idea that this next thing is the thing you have to sell, that this script is the one, that if you could just get this one thing done, fuck that shit. The people who get one thing done and sell it and then have a career are 1 in a million, especially in the city where you want to live. So it's 1 in 10 million, you know? So what it really is going to be about is keeping yourself floating financially, keeping yourself plugged into your local filmmaking communities, seeking out friends and collaborators, and just continually generating. And those are my tips. Pitch your retired Zodiac killer idea. Fire sign? I've pitched that online before. Thoughts on Watchmen, comic, movie, or show? I think I've said this before, but Watchmen, the comic book, one of the greatest of all times, one of my major inspirations as an artist in general. Watchmen, the movie, almost. Oh my God, almost. So close. Almost. Right? Almost. And then Watchmen, the TV show, almost. What happened with those last 2 episodes? What? What the hell? What the hell? What the fuck? What the? Ozymandias gets hit with a wrench? What? What would you say is the best take on the Green Goblin? I love him all the time. I love anything you do with him. I love Norman Osborn was a good guy who gets driven insane by the Goblin serum. I love Norman Osborn was bad all along. I love Norman Osborn has multiple personalities where the Goblin talks to him like Carnage. And I like Norman Osborn just is the Goblin and they're the same motherfucking person. And there is no line. It's just a mask. Norman Osborn's face might as well be the Goblin's face. I like Norman Osborn as a big hulking monster goblin. And I like him as a guy in a mask or a guy wearing Power Rangers armor. I don't give a fuck. I love, at a level of passion that is the highest available to me, the sequence of events that creates the iconic Death of Gwen Stacy storyline. I think the Goblin is a wonderfully conceived villain for Spider-Man. And I think so many of the things about him that are seem arbitrary or stupid, like it being a Halloween costume initially, like work for me. Just as a fan, the Goblin, the Green Goblin, the Hobgoblin, even the idea that's even better, Hobgoblin. I love that Hobgoblin like isn't a character and it's just whoever has the Green Goblin shit. And then I love that random criminal was like, I want to be good at being the Green Goblin. So he made a deal with with Mephisto and he turned into Demo Goblin. And I liked it when Norman Osborn I had stopped reading comics and I found out there's a storyline going on with a whole bunch of Green Goblins. Norman Osborn is the Goblin King. And I went to fucking Golden Apple and I bought the comics. James Franco, I love Dane DeHaan. I love Dane DeHaan. But that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the only version of the Green Goblin I don't like. And I don't like it at all. And I hate it. But that is the exception that proves the rule. Because I love Green Goblin. Holy shit. I feel like I talk about that publicly. I mentioned that I love him a lot. But I don't like... I've never explained why I love him. But it's so obvious. I mean, like, because for me, I am Harry Osborn, like, and then I become the Green Goblin. Like, there's elements of, you know, me being the son of someone who's successful. There's elements of mental illness and addiction and all the cool, great stuff that makes for cool, fun storytelling. A Spidey series. People always ask, what Marvel character would you do an American Alien for? Except for most of the Marvel characters are American aliens because Marvel is human first. Even if they're not even if they're not always done well, they even like Norrin Rad, the Silver Surfer, has like a more defined personality than Martian Manhunter. That says something. That's brutal. That's a brutal. The Silver Surfer has a more cohesive story than Hawkman. And Hawkman's always out front of DC shit because they're all the Justice League are like hollow signifiers. Like, who is Wonder Woman? Well, it depends on which version, really. And you can't really say that about Spider-Man as much. But I think if I could do Spider-Man, that's a great question. Because I did, some people know this, but the first thing I kind of became known for online was I wrote a fan fiction novel called The Shocker Legit, which is actually not terrible, even by my current standards. I'm kind of proud of it because it has a very strong main character. Kind of peters out at the end, but it has a good epilogue. And it really is sort of a snapshot of an era in the Marvel Universe. And Peter's in that a lot. What would I do with Peter Parker? I feel so bad for you guys. You're all like sitting here watching me be like, I would want to do a Hobgoblin movie. Okay. I think I thought of this before at some point, but I would want to do And Then There Were None. So I want to set it on an island. Okay. My Spider-Man storyline takes place on one of those Japanese islands they've had to abandon because the water went poison, like all the Japanese Chernobyls that are out there. And so there are whole cities built on these islands and towns that just don't have the same good PR as Chernobyl that you can go to in Japan. And I would want to set it there. I'd want it to be Peter Parker, and I'd want it to be And Then There Were None, or 10 Little Indians, the Agatha Christie. And I would want it to be with Hobgoblin. I would want it to be a murder mystery set in an empty city that Peter can swing through, but it's a dead city and it's all the windows. I mean, like, that could be such a great sequence where his spider sense goes off, but it's like, what the fuck? It could be anything in any of these empty buildings. There's nowhere to, that's kind of cool. And I'd want the bad guy, the person killing people, to be Hobgoblin because it's who is the Hobgoblin. And I'd do it as a murder mystery. And I might even cheat because I wouldn't be doing it to shock the world. I'd be doing it to try to do a really good Spider-Man story. So I might even cheat and like lift some Agatha Christie twists because why not? Right? It's fucking Spider-Man. And I could hide them. When you lift a twist, you're never really stealing because it's about lifting the shape of the twist. You can't lift the direct twist or people recognize the twist. Oh, he was dead the whole time. It's like, but the idea of he was dead the whole time is one of these people isn't who you thought they were. The narrative isn't structured the way you thought it was. That's when you lift. That's when you can see the succinct summary of how the twist actually worked. Our perspective isn't the perspective we thought we had. Those twists always work the best. And I bet I could use the exact same ending from the book 10 Little Indians, except for with Hobgoblin, where I don't know if you've, spoilers for Agatha Christie, but my two favorite Agatha Christie books are Murder on the Orient Express and 10 Little Indians. One of them is the spoiler is everyone did it, and one of them the spoiler is nobody did it, and it's pretty great. Mads Mikkelsen is Green Goblin. He's not warm enough. He needs to. What the great thing about Norman Osborn is that Norman Osborn, the guy, isn't Lex Luthor. He seems like a good guy. That's the Spider-Man game portrayal of him kind of bothered me, kind of for that reason, was he seemed very suspicious. And I like when Norman Osborn generally seems the smiling face of the happy father. And then it's revealing the grinning face of the terrifying Goblin. Peter's father figure phobias and the absence of Ben, the replacement of Ben by Norman. Like, there's so much good stuff in that character. What's your tip on finding story threads after world building? Yo, what do you mean? There is no after world building. I guess some people do that. Some people world build like they're doing Dungeons and Dragons. I don't do that. I build everything. That's not true. Sometimes I just think certain things will be cool. So like that. But everything else is built on emotion. So a great example for the Kryptonian epic in terms of world building. This might be interesting for you guys to hear, maybe. Mild spoilers for the Kryptonian epic. So at the beginning of the Starlight Emperor, the final book of my Superman fanfic, self-fic, I don't know what it is, weird internet thing. This is just a story thing. I knew that I wanted to subvert, alter, change, or recontextualize several iconic moments in Superman, in the mythos of Superman, in the wider sort of canon of the Superman lore. So one of those, of course, has to be the iconic fight with Doomsday from The Death and Return of Superman. And this is a story I've spent a lot of time thinking about. If you followed me on YouTube for a while, you know that. And I realized Doomsday couldn't be the end because part of The Death and Return of Superman is the return. Clark doesn't, die at the end from Doomsday. He might die at the end a different way, like Neo did, or Jesus, or he might overcome. But I knew that the Doomsday moment had to represent something else. So this is actually an interesting, I'm going to actually answer your question. I hope you like this. Yo, who says leave Superman alone? Stop stealing ideas. Ha ha ha. They paid me to write it. It's too late. Sorry. Sorry about that. You're just too late. Anyway, so I wanted to build a moment where, you know how Superman in the classic Doomsday fight, Doomsday basically fights his way through a bunch of other superheroes and annihilates them before finally Superman does the final blow. And I always thought that kind of shits the bed. I mean, like, it works for what it is, but I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean character-wise? Just that Superman is the strongest superhero? I thought that was like really fucking weird. Like, when I started to think about that moment, I was like, oh, Superman's the strongest at punching. And I was like, that doesn't do anything story-wise. What's the emotion there? So I set it up a little different. So I have Doomsday attacks, without getting too into spoilers. Doomsday is in the Kryptonian epic. I've shared art of him and stuff. He's a bit different. He's a King Kong-sized wrecking machine who has these like almost noodle-like limbs. He can thrash around, indestructible creature covered in blades. But Clark fights him first. Clark fights Doomsday alone, and it's a violent fight, which you'll see depicted in we've already had it animated. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You'll see that in the Kryptonian epic animated film. But then Clark basically gets his ass beat, and then one by one, everyone who's been a part of Clark's story and who he's affected their lives shows up in South Downtown Metropolis and backs up Clark. And most of them are not in superhero costumes because it's like 2 a.m. And I wanted to set up that scene. So I went, okay, who do I need there? Who do I want for that moment? And I thought, well, fuck. I obviously need to create a Wonder Woman. I need to create a Flash. I need to go deeper into who Batman is. But I don't think I realized I don't want Batman there because I don't like Batman. Batman's a mean idea for this series. And I went, okay, I got to figure out how to get rid of Batman by the time we get to Doomsday. And I think you guys know how I decided to do that, which is cool. I'm thinking back, this is like 2 years ago now, me thinking about this. I was like, I knew Aquaman. I knew I needed Arthur. And then I thought, who else? What would be the coolest other characters to show up in the American Alien universe? And I was like, the Flash, but I got to do him way different. Oh, I used Parasite in American Alien. I got to bring him back. Oh, yeah. I guess the Batman villains would be really useful. What about Mr. Freeze? And oh, Mr. Freeze shouldn't be bad. He should be good. Oh, but where do I put that? Test run. So like I built everything backwards. And then I was like, I need someone who's like really powerful to represent something opposite of Clark, who I can follow their story the whole time. Zatanna, no one ever does anything with her. Ooh, I bet. And so I built it all backwards. All of the Kryptonian epic started with the nugget of, okay, why does Clark look like a human being? And then I built from there. So when you say world building, I do it backwards. I needed the Doomsday moment to have the maximum amount of emotion. So at that point in the story, and these are mild spoilers, but at that point in the story, the Flash is not, I guess you guys know this, is not a superhero and wants no part of it. Blue Beetle is retired. Ollie is a billionaire single dad who hasn't been the Green Arrow in a year. Fucking Zatanna is a full-on villain. Spoilers. But the way it happens is so dope, and it's buried so deep in a live stream, it'll still hit hard in Endangered Species. It's cool. It's so cool. Don't worry. She comes back because I needed to have her come back. I needed everyone. Arthur, at this point, him showing up represents so much. It means he accepts Clark as a brother, essentially, and as his family, because that's his storyline in Endangered Species. Lois Lane is physically there while Doomsday is attacking in slippers because she was sleeping. And so she's going through like broken glass in the city in her pajamas. Fuck, dude, it's such a cool scene. And then, everyone showing up means something different. Victor Freeze is there because of everything Clark did for him, Clark and Ollie did for him after Test Run. They basically saved his life from Luthor. He was the OG Flash. So he wasn't the Flash, but he was a guy who defected from Luthor and revealed that there were chinks in the armor of Luthor's web of blackmail and secrecy. Okay, sorry. I'm just talking. There's other people there too. But I looked at that moment, and yeah, the movie changes art styles constantly. Not only does the Kryptonian epic's main simple animation style change constantly, there are multiple styles of animation, multiple animators, and also 2 live action segments. But it's going to take a long ass time, and it's costing me a lot of money. And literally, I'm just doing it for like you and me. Like my algorithm on this YouTube is like nothing. Like I'm glad I'm finally like writing again and feeling better and about life and shit. The Kryptonian epic movie is 91 minutes long. I always apologize. So you want to know something really weird? I have not read the whole trilogy, just the first one. I thought it was really cool. You want to know something really weird? Is I was in an abusive relationship, and then right after it, I got publicly shamed. Really badly. And that led to me having this weird PTSD thing where I constantly apologize for talking too much, which if you know me, it's so hard now. And like all my friends talk about it and like say, stop apologizing, because I'll like start to tell a story or like start to tell a joke. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking forever. And I'll say it in the middle of me saying something someone is like listening to. So that's like something I have to work on in therapy, I guess. Woof. Robin Hood movie. I want to do it so bad. I want to do a Robin Hood movie so bad. I would do like Disney's Robin Hood. Disney's Robin Hood is crazy because they like gangbang all of the different Robin Hood myths into one movie. I just want to do that, but like with not Wachowskis, but like with 8711, like with Chad and Dave or those guys, like Dave Leach, like people who are really good at action, and just do like the best bow and arrow action ever, and have everybody have all the different versions of the characters, and just tell a good ass story, you know. Do you still think it's possible to start a career off a spec script? Man, I mean, start a career, it's such a strange environment now in the industry. Like I'm only kind of dipping my toe back into like what's selling and what's moving these days, and the whole industry has changed. Like it's a whole new ball game. Like people can just slate movies now for streaming. They can just slate a movie and be like, yeah, if it's under $5 million, we can slate that with no actor. And it's like, okay, but oh, well then where's that $5 million come from? How do you get your submissions? Oh, I'm friends with a manager. Oh, so that one manager is like pipelining you scripts from their clients? How's anybody else going to get scripts to you? No, they're not, I guess. Arts industry. Like some people are going to have easy times selling movies. Some people are going to have hard times. What I'm more interested about is the platforms, you know? I'm like, the platforms are interesting. Sorry, I'm just reading what everybody's saying. I know it's so, I always cringe when I see myself do this, when I see myself, look, everybody liked this video. You 183 people, why doesn't this video have 183 likes? I've fix my algorithm, please. You know, I just shot this Flash thing and I spent $4,000 and it's me acting and I'm sitting there and talking in like hair and makeup for like fucking 36 minutes. Can you please like my videos? Can you ring the bell? I was like, I never do this, but like I would like it to get a little bit of the old fucking momentum back in terms of views. And like I guess Death of Batman did pretty good for what it is. This is all my stuff does good for what it is. Fucking webcam, this is not viral content. Webcam videos of hanging out with me, yikes. Joel Haver. I'm not familiar with him. I'll look at him. Of course, it's feasible to make high quality films for release for YouTube, but you need a tremendous amount of skill. That's the hard part. How do you feel about the dislike bar going away? You know what's funny? Pretty good. I mean, I never really got that many dislikes, even at the height of people harassing me. Dislikes were never really a problem, but I like that a way to be needlessly negative has disappeared from the world. And I love Donkey's video about it. Donkey is, you know, when you watch someone do something and you go, oh my God, could you imagine if I could do that? If I could be as good at something as they are at that, wouldn't that be incredible? If I could be that good. Donkey is that for me because he's so funny. He's so funny in such a specific way, and he's so likable, and there's such a tremendous warmth, and there's such a consistency. And the recent video, the say I won't do it, say I won't do it, say I won't do it, I'm gonna do it every day. Donkey Kong December. Like, it's euphoric. Trust the Police audio drama. Would you do it? I've been asked to do it. So we'll see. Talk about Succession. I thought it was sad they didn't just fucking let Greg get a date on his own. Let Greg get a date. Like, you know, the Greg is like, the funny thing about him is that he's like fumbling and like, blah, 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 you know, like he's a dumbass. But it makes sense that he's like that when he's interacting with the family. If he's interacting with a girl, Just let us have one of those cookies that Succession gives us every once in a while. Give us a cookie and let him just successfully flirt with that girl and ask her out and have it be revealed that Greg can be a little charming when he's not being shit on relentlessly. Like one of the most interesting Greg moments was, I forget if it was Tom or Kendall, goes to that apartment Kendall gets him. And Greg's like having a little get together with like attractive people his own age. And that moment made me wonder, like, are they going to go way deeper into this? And Greg is not the only one worth rooting for. Kendall, my friends, Kendall has become like the protagonist of that show. They set up this false front of the fucking birthday party being like it was going to be this big disaster for him. He got triggered. He flipped out. He was manic when it started, but he had a fucking really, really, really good relationship with that girl. She calmed him down. She supported him through this shit. They got the fuck out of there and it ended with them stronger than ever. So like, I wonder where it's going to go. Because I wonder if Kendall's going to flame out or if this is the moment he pulls it back together, because Kendall's been ahead of Logan all season. Logan's been pathetic this season. Roman had to come in and save Logan last episode, but I don't think that's going to last. Making Roman into a full villain the way they did at the birthday episode, I don't think that can last, and I think it's headed for a spectacular deflation of Roman. And I think Shiv is finally going to flip, which is great. I love what a piece of shit Shiv is. All I want is Tom versus Shiv. I want the Tom versus Shiv episode, and I'm worried they're not going to give it to me. Oh, 164 people watching, only 120 likes. You sons of bitches. Y'all are the reason that Dre ain't been getting no sleep. So fuck y'all, all of y'all. If y'all don't like me, blow me. Y'all gonna keep fucking around with me and turn me back to the old me. Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish. And motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre.